Okay, so it says that the thing is over. So we're just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna make a new save. Actually, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, this is it. How do you guys like this one? Well, thank you. Do you know who this is? um, how's about this? With their heads. This is my version of her. The crown is a simple thing that I made. Trust me when I say this. I never want to attempt to make a crown ever, ever again. No, thank you. This was hard. And this was just simple. This was the simplest thing I could do. Never want to touch another one again. But this is my attempt at Queen of Hearts. I don't know. I I was gonna kind of So if no one knows, there is a manga of Alice in Wonderland, and it's called Alice in Hearts in the Hearts, and it's like they have the club and the stuff like that books. Well, I kind of wanted to make her the queen from there, but I couldn't figure out how to get the hair to do it, so I instantly just did this. And I figured, you know what, it's fine. Never looked at me that way before. So we did walks. And I know it's been a while since we played this. But guess what? Next month, I don't know when next month, but next month they're doing the demo. So I kind of want to show you guys the demo, the rest of the demo, before they give it a complete makeover. Because they are changing what they have for the second intro. So I'm gonna show it off. So we did walks. Do you guys want to go through another memory? Probably should, because step 2 preview isn't a lot. I know that right now. So now again, we mentioned earlier, but occasionally you'll get the opportunity to change what you're wearing during the game. You may also be able to take off accessories like hats and scarves during certain in-game moments. If you don't want to bother with changing your outfit, you can toggle these sections off from the Your Details screen. Click Info on the right to find it. There you go. Yeah. Let me know. I can also just switch over to it too. They put pickles on my burger. And it's my chicken burger. How dare they? I had to restart because I didn't want to actually start, but my mouse was having issues actually working, and as I was moving it around and clicking on stuff, I clicked start streaming. So yeah, and I told him to give him the points back. To be fair, I ended stream before you came in. The fact that you're still able to collect it shocks me. Oh, how does this avatar look, Risa? The Queen of Hearts. Well, I think that just proves that you need to get better at it, Crow. Turn out the dress section to mean what layers you choose to take off and keep wearing when you get to school. For your preference for what you wear indoors for the rest of step 1. Until you turn on dress up sections again. Would you like to see the dress up sections in the future? Yes. Have fun. Who wouldn't want to pick out their outfits? There we go. Oh shit, what the fuck? I was just scrolling up and down. It really said, I'm gonna take you out of here. Another cloudy Saturday in Golden Grove when 3 kids reconvened in the middle of the cul-de-sac. Ow. You know, I just realized I have the ability to, what's Twitch freaking out over? Wait, wasn't there a I did it. Okay, see you when you come back. I'm wondering if this will take it less time. Hmm? I hope everyone knows that I am eating, hence why I'm doing this. Oh god. Well, that happened. Hold on. Okay, you know what? We're gonna back it up. No, we can't back it up. Okay. We're going to skip it all. So this is the preview for the Step 2. Teenage them. I will join you as soon as I'm done with this, Teresa. Also, I just spilled shit all over my shirt. Indeed. Oh, God. Give me one moment. Any changes you make will have gradually happened over the years since the last step. Once Step 2 officially begins, the people Gun Grove will already be used to it. For example, if the character wears glasses as a teenager when they didn't in Step as a kid, you'll have had the glasses for some time before the events of Step 2. Wearing glasses will be considered a typical part of your character, rather than a brand new detail. There's one exception. If your gender or pronouns have changed, you have the option to not have come out yet. In that case, you'll do that in the prologue of Step 2. You'll also have a chance to shift your relationships with Q and Tamarick. You can have an entirely different dynamic than what you did when you met 4 years ago. If you're close, you can have drifted apart to only consider the lead a neighbor, or you could have found one of them annoying, but now they're your best friend, or anything else. You and everyone else in this town will remember however things used to be, or if nothing is different. Prior choices don't stop mattering just because the step has changed. When the game is complete, whether Q and Tamarick are contesting, differing, or teamworking and such will also depend on past experiences you had together. This demo, that doesn't happen. The system hasn't been built yet. Your relationship as neighbors, friends, and or Christians will not automatically change based on normal choices throughout the stories. You can do whatever you like and still be close or distant from the leads. Now that's Step 2, the jealous, over, and envious meter have unlocked on the dynamic screen. You can't use this element if you're at neighbor status with the lead. As a reminder, the jealousy meter does nothing but let you add an extra element of drama to your life. Jealous over means the character is protective of their relationship and time with the other person. They can get upset if they're not getting the attention they want. Envious of means they wish they had what the other character has. They can imagine someone else has a better life, is better looking, more talented, etc., and that makes the person unhappy. By default, Q, Tamarick, and MC will always be not jealous, which skips all that. You'll have to manually turn the jealous, envious aspect on for that kind of emotion to crop up. Lastly, Tamarick's and Q's teenage designs have slight variation options. Both have 2 possible hairstyles, shorter or longer, and there are a couple accessories they may or may not wear. Right now, it's decided at random. There's also a customization screen for each character to manually change their appearance. In this preview, the UI is not final yet. In the complete game, the character's initial appearance will be influenced by their past experience. And that's everything you need to know for the next stage of your life. We hope you enjoy a glimpse into the growing up in Golden Grove. Make way, make way. I have Disney songs playing in my ears. This is awesome. So, let's completely change the hair. We will get rid of that. I wanna see. You are. Mm. And no one leaves. I don't remember. Do I have... Am I non-binary in this? I don't know if I made myself non-binary. Or did I? No, I made myself transgender. It's been a while, okay, people? It's been so long since I touched this game. You have to give me a moment to remember what I've done. So definitely, there we go. Actually, we'll put the hair in. We will still have that crazy wild hair in front. Who you are. We'll give ourselves a nose ring, why not? Oh my god, no! Fuck you, game! I need this to just stop and not... I think that's right. Get rid of the head accessories. Give ourselves some braces. So why not? On the other side. Hands on the other side. With me. Hello from the tutorial. Again, you can customize the identity of your MC. The MC bringing you make this character as personalized as you want, or now make use of a more specific element. Determining the gender of the MC was assigned at birth. Pronounce the use if they use multiple pronouns, adding in your own custom pronouns. Selecting which gender terms they're comfortable with. And such can all be up to you. Whoops, I wasn't reading that out loud. If you want to begin with one type of identity, then have your MC go through a transition once they're older, it's completely doable. Feel free to select whatever feels the most comfortable at this stage of the story. I just read that all. If you got your own character ready, you'll be able to influence the appearance of your biological mother. She has 3 hair textures and 6 skin tones, so you can have her look as similar, different MC as you like. She just raised a child on her own. Why is it giving me the same thing from the beginning tutorial? We'll do the moon. Winter was a world of its own. The place you known had gone to sleep. Mama wished more than once that people would hibernate until spring the way the bears did. Snow on the mountain was worse than anywhere else in the state. It took hold of you whenever you went outside, trying to tug your shoes straight off your feet. That season, the Cossack kids got rides to and from school. Q's mom and Granny took turns. They would take you in the morning and get you again in the afternoon. On lucky days, Mr. Lin would be the one who came at the end of the day, and sometimes your own mama could do it. Then there was that one time there'd been a huge misunderstanding, and the person who put up in the front of your school was Mr. Boonman. It was a nightmare. The Beller-style thing happened. You stole the whole show. No one else could follow along. It was like the other dancers hadn't been told what was gonna happen next. Maybe they hadn't been. It seemed like Q made some of those moves up. The other Mr. and Mrs. Bowman came to visit for the first time for their daughter's favorite holiday, Christmas. Parents showed up in Golden Grove with bags over their shoulders and glasses on their face. Tamarack looked just like them, and she looked miserable. They left after New Year's, only those two. Tamarack didn't go with her mom and dad. She stayed with her Omi and Opa. When that year wasn't so new anymore, you graduated elementary school. Mama brought you to the diner table, to celebrate after your first day of middle school. She always did. The two of you eventually reached regular status at the establishment. That Yusuf, the friendly manager, became the new owner when the original one retired. Recognized you and Mama from the beginning. Yusuf had been earnest when he said everybody in town were basically neighbors. May not have been next door, but you can help getting to know him as much as you could know an adult anyway. Days, weeks, months, the time took a rest on your shoulders, and they kept coming. A couple more years, and you weren't even a kid anymore. You emerged from a pile of torn-off calendar pages as a teenager. Add one extra year, and you graduated again. At 14 years old, you're about to begin high school. So you're basically grown up. You could do whatever you wanted. Rules didn't matter anymore. You wouldn't let anyone tell you what to do. You had to be on your best behavior, though. You always were. Messing around would not be worth the amount of trouble you get in now. Following rules was always smartest. Don't let anyone tell you what to do again. Life might have changed rapidly for you, but it didn't. But it seemed like once you hit certain points of being old, stuff stayed consistent much longer. Mama and Mr. Lin had the same jobs. Miss Booman kept on being retired. Mr. Booman continued to pretend he was retired while working on the side. But that wasn't the only way to go. Miss Lin had new opportunities ahead. For her only child prepared for 9th grade, she was getting ready to rejoin the workforce. You met brand new people as you got older, and the limits in your life faded. Serenity, Bianca, and many other schoolmates. Gained a reputation for being hyper, gained a reputation for being gentle, acting spunky, acting polite. Being gentle, I guess. Tamarack's social circle expanded too. You fill several novels with memoirs of the little girl in her neighborhood on her own, with you and with Q, or both of you. She was still around, but Tamarack had a lot more to consider these days than if she should be in her backyard or the forest clearing. There were also the people you didn't meet. The famous boys' club disbanded a long time ago. Q Lin, Ren Murray, Baxter Ward, and you. Ren went by Ren only and had for a year. Calling him by his full name was strange. Not even Ren's parents did that. The relationship between Q and Ren was not a thread of history. Sometimes it tense, sometimes it slacked, but it had yet to snap. It was different when it came to Baxter. Their shared friendship with him ended. Eventually, he dyed his hair dark gray to pure black and stopped coming around after a while. The age gap between him and the rest of you was chasm that couldn't be crossed anymore. You didn't remember the last time Baxter had been on Acorn Road. But you wouldn't forget. It was heartbreaking. You loved being in the boys' club. You'd outgrown it personally. It would be silly hanging out with people at club meeting. What was going to happen sooner or later? You were glad Q didn't have to act like the boss of friendship anymore. Rest in peace, boys' club. Rest in peace. After the group disbanded, when Q was no longer the boy who led a club named after that trait, Q began to realize something. They weren't a boy. Q wasn't sure what they identified with, but they could say definitely it wasn't that. You were the only one who had to realize something like that about her themselves. When Q came out to you was so clear in your mind. Now you remember what you told them the first time you met. How you told people and doctors they were wrong about who you were. Well, they were doing that too. For now, all people needed to know not to call them by anything gendered. Summer vacation didn't last forever. Days of sunshine grew short, cold, and gray clouds gathered on the horizon. And then fall settled over Golden Grove once again. The storybook-esque depiction of autumn went to the very root of the forest in the heart of the town, as the whole land glistened in its namesake color. It had been nearly 4 years to the day since you moved here, into the tan house with the white picket fence at the center of the cul-de-sac. The trees grew in taller and thicker. Mama got a chair for the porch, and the mailbox had to be replaced after an incident. But other than that, not much had changed with the outside of your home. One might have said the building was worse for wear after nearly 1,500 extra days of weathering the elements, but for what it already was when you got there, that was nothing. Nothing for a house pushing 40 anyway. 4 years of your life was closing in on a third of your existence, and that first third you could scarcely remember, since you were a baby and then a toddler for most of it. So it worked out that nearly half your memories you made and kept were from right here, in this house, in this neighborhood, in this town. You lived in this one place longer than anywhere else. It was simply normal, nothing more, nothing less. You absolutely loved it. It was hell on earth. Circumstance is officially what mundane says, but there's worse things. You were safe there. Life was good. Couldn't wait to get out. God damn it, it was awesome. There was nothing you were more grateful for than that. Things were honestly miserable. You could tolerate, yes. Everything was so boring. You weren't quite sure what to make of this place anymore. You were safe there, content. Having day after day of certainty couldn't be complained about. You didn't want constant changes, or to never know what would happen next. You wanted what you had, peace and comfort. You realized that at 10 years old, that feeling had settled over you like a comfy blanket since the first fall. This place was home. You down each path and road, seen every bush and tree, entered all the public accessible, and even some not technically public buildings hundreds of times. There is something indescribably precious about that. It couldn't be replicated. Though that didn't mean the world was static. There were shifts that rippled out and impacted your experience, but each one felt natural. Transitions of seasons brought about an entirely different atmosphere. There were sights and sounds and feelings that could only happen during a few months, before they were gone for a year. Other familiarities were lost to time for good, never to come back, but instead of their absence to eventually become old in their own right. You knew that acorns were beginning to fall along with the leaves, and that Bob's barbershop on Main Street closed 8 months ago, and that every day there was a new rumor on what was going to replace it. Nothing concrete had been announced yet, but any day now for sure. Miss Booman was stubbornly convinced it'd be a restaurant, an Italian restaurant. The town needed one of those, she would insist. Yeah, that was less about what she thought would actually happen, more what she wished would come to be. Circumstances were never as perfectly straightforward as stuff that was the same and things that were different, or what you could be certain of and what you were believing in. You could have a piece of your world that had been ever present, something that hadn't gone away for a moment. Yet right there, yet right before your eyes, it would stop being what you would originally know. The example that came to your mind was that you had been imagining from the beginning was your left and right next door neighbors. Both Q and Timrick were the same people you'd seen basically every day for 4 years. Not a single one of those days did you decide they weren't Timrick or Q anymore. Of course, they were literally who they were. But after everything they learned, seen, and from the basic concept to getting older, they were pulled into certain directions, little by little. They couldn't be caught looking back a week or a month. So if you pause to remember them from your first meetings and compare that to who you expected to encounter that day, you can see it clearly, starkly. They had changed. First, the companion of your youth, Nick Cullen. They didn't introduce themselves like that to people anymore. Whether a person could spell their name or not, it wasn't their problem. If someone didn't know that, then they didn't know Q, and why should they care what a stranger believed about them? The only part of themselves they made sure to spell out were their pronouns, they, them. Q was born and raised in Golden Grove, a local through and through. Not merely any kid in town, they were the one to take center stage, the one to reach out. Q made himself ever present in the minds and hearts of the community. No matter what Q said or did, each person they crossed paths with would be as familiar with them as the gender they were assigned at birth. Q wasn't sure about what they identify with, but they could say definitely it wasn't that. If they wanted to be free of that misconception, Q had no choice other than to keep explaining again and again, person to person. They hated it. Going around introducing themselves in a way so people who wouldn't immediately get it could still put things together was cute, and everything when they were in elementary school. hate it. Going around immediately get it. So put things together was cute and everything when they were in elementary school. Ninth grader, it was embarrassing. A lot of what Q believed in as a kid seemed to be just that now. Good stuff. At the tippy top of their list of childish ideas was the very concept of trying. Q stopped putting in effort with their classes. They started skipping belly lessons, and they did not go out of their way to make others feel welcome. No, they rebuffed nearly anyone who dared wish for time in their presence. If you didn't already like someone, 0 opportunities would be given for that opinion to change. So by going from the most approachable face in town to completely unavailable, Q remained excitingly popular in school. Still, that effort check their demeanor only made them cooler, apparently. Look at that. Long hair, short hair, choker, earrings. Does it look like he changes heights with this? Like, it looks like the avatar moves a bit. It does. Starting from step 2, you can now manually set Q and Tamrick's dynamic towards you, as well as your own dynamic with each of them. This includes the newly available jealousy meter, which will always begin as not jealous. Must be manually changed if you would like to add those Xbox to your playthrough. You can also choose one character to be best friends with. Only one person can be your best friend, but you can be platonic best friends or best friends while crushing on one another. Getting best friends with one character signals you have a close relationship to them than the other character. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with or crushing on the other character though. You can change best friends over the year, or even have no best friend at all. It's up to you. I don't. But the drama was nothing to you. If you didn't want to go above and beyond to be friends with everyone in the world, then they shouldn't have to. They could be snippier, they could be more sarcastic, so what? Q meant a lot to you. They always did. They always had, ever since you were 10. Q made you feel like you mattered from the start, and that didn't fade it. Even when they closed themselves off to people more and more. You'd done what you could to be something beyond a fair weather acquaintance for them. And there you had it. Super cool. It was great having a friend who was your friend. But the Q agreed not whether you were officially friends or not, they were important. Those were thoughts you kept deep inside. It wasn't anything you'd actually express to Q. You couldn't lie to your own heart. You had a crush on Nick's Q Lin. That what made them such a meaningful existence in your world. You're head over heels for them. They can Q themselves, you can never quite tell what their feelings were towards you. It was mutual as they had a crush on Miss Beanie Second. Could never tell. Q did like you, to some degree. They never speak to you if not. But you're not gonna assume that meant they had a crush on you. Because you're more than neighbors with someone, you'll get to make an extra choice about your relationship, but they're not comfortable with automatic physical attractions. There are moments in the script where Q and Tamrick can potentially show affection and closeness through touching without you initiating yourself. But they will know you well enough to avoid that if you're the type of person who doesn't like it. You can determine if embraces and snuggles and everything is fine, or if you only accept more brief and playful interactions like a pat on the back. It's possible to want space under normal situations, but be okay with being comforted and different difficult moments. Or you said it's so cute, Tamarick, or Tamarick will never touch you on their own. Your choice here won't remove options to touch the leads from you. It only determines whether the leads believe you're fine with them touching you or not. Over the years, you made it clear that you didn't want to be randomly touched. Q never did. Q didn't reach out to touch you. You didn't want them to. It was only different when things got difficult. It was unusual for you and Q being close. You'd poke and nudge each other and all that. Q was happy to drape himself over you completely. There was no reason to stay at a distance. Now, second, the childhood best friend, Miss Tamarick Booman. She had become a young lady. Her reckless romps through the woods shifted into quiet nature walks. The neat clothes she carefully selected weren't suited for that kind of exploring anyway. And she was not okay with them getting full of her holes like she was as a kid. She approached most things in life with great delicacy, like she was living in a world of glass, or less whimsically as if she was also walking on eggshells. She joined the music program during middle school and had played the cello ever since. These required plenty of patience and a ton of sitting around. But all those new opinions, priorities, and decisions didn't speak to any level of decisiveness on her part. Sorry, I bit my lip. It wasn't just the loss of pure wild abandonment that only someone too young to know better could have. She didn't have a shred of the certainty she used to. Some days, in some ways, she could come across more than her almost 70-year-old grandparents, could go not even quarter their age. Then other moments, she leaned into typical teenage priorities more than anyone else in her class, and neither seemed to make her particularly confident. But bits and pieces were truly Tamarick, maybe all of them, maybe none. She hadn't managed to convince most people that there was a clear picture they could accept and understand as her. Probably because she didn't understand herself either, or she couldn't bring herself to commit to what she did know. So 4 years on, and she'd yet to blend into the harmony of this close-knit community. Tamarick was in a room. Odds were good she'd be the least clean person there wherever she went. Miss Bowman carried herself with the presence of a visitor, never a regular. So they give her, that's her hair from when she's young. There's a ribbon too. She's so cute. There were some truths that no one doubted. She could count on you, and you could do the same with her. You didn't care what the town thought. Tamarick was the greatest friend you've had in your entire life. She wasn't some nobody. She was a little girl who threw a paper airplane at you the first time she ever caught sight of you. Tamarick and you went through being newcomers side by side. No matter how much time passed, no matter how much the two of you grew up, the promise you made to always be friends would not be broken. Together, you'd made it through whatever future unknowns you might face. You and Tamarick hugged and held hands. You were okay being close in whatever way. Totally normal for you to bump each other and lean on one another. Your Tamarick didn't have a touchy-feely kind of relationship. None unless stuff was serious. You weren't comfortable being touched out of nowhere. Tamarick understood that. It doesn't matter. Step 2. Okay, yeah. Anyway, that was thinking further into your psyche than you should. Decided while shaking yourself out of daze. You're at home sitting on a lumpy chair that tried its best to be a shade other than tan, which it was. It'd be a good come and call itself cream orange or pale yellow. Guessing this chair. Building creaked without anybody doing anything. A ticking, talking tapped at the back of your head. The place you lived was sort of third member of the second family. It had its own ways of being and long-term time quirks, while still taking after the parent and sister it received. In the time you lived there, you added a few of your own nicks and scratches to the house. Some of the furniture was placed brand new old furniture from the local antique store and thrift shop. The wall clock from the former and the lamp was found out later. Q said once he couldn't tell the difference between what was sold in those places, it was ancient either way. However, the gap in quality between the two was easy for you to see. Your wandering gaze went down towards the decorative branches in a vase. A cold fire, brown, red leaves, another sign of autumn. From there you kept going until your focus was finally back to what you were doing. The tabletop was piled with books, packets, pencils, and stuff. And it magically all had to fit into a single bag, plus leave room for lunch. You begin packing for school tomorrow. It wasn't any normal day of school. It was the first day, and it wasn't a normal start of a new year either. This was ninth grade. You're a high school freshman. Mama impressed upon you what an accomplishment it was. If the learning system was a triathlon, you were out of the water, off a bike, and lining up to begin the race. Mama wasn't especially sporty herself, so she offered as an alternative that if this was a movie or book, the third act would be just beginning. That was the best part. For as much as Mama hyped it up, your transition to highest level of public schools wasn't as immense as it was for the other 14-year-olds. You've been attending Riverview Peak since grade 6 already, with its gold, black, and navy official colors, and beloved freshwater otter mascot. The district of Golden Grove was small enough that middle school and high school share a building. That was always a relief. You had your school, and you stick with it until your real graduation. It was whatever. River Peak could have been better. It could have been worse. The good about that, you're well acquainted with those halls. Heck yeah, the place was part of who you were. Go Otters. Hell yeah, the place was a part of who you were. Go Otters. Was Riverview Peak awful? Yes. Did you want to risk going somewhere else? Nope. Not as if it mattered either way. Going to any school is miserable. This would have been a much better New Year if you could have gone somewhere else. Heck yeah. You know, it's a 20-page schedule between 2 textbooks, hoping it wouldn't get completely crumpled. The beginning classes, what's the only special occasion happening tomorrow? Golden Grove's middle, and at the same time high school, started slightly different than its elementary school students. Whoops. School day. This semester, your first day of school, share the same date as your anniversary moving here. Been 3 years and 364 days since your life became what it was. Then there was a groan. The house let you know you had company. Mama came out from the kitchen. She kept some distance, staying under the opening arch of the room, and gave the side of her light-washed jeans a pat. Her shirt was a fall floral blouse. Ironically, she looked as fresh as a spring bloom. Good morning. Mama had let her hair get longer lately. So pretty. Besides a trim every few months, it got to just keep growing. That was new, though she still wore real opals whenever she went. Right now she was having a necklace moment. The stone hanging from her neck looked newly pried from a mine shaft. No perfect teardrop shape or flawless ankles. It was natural. Thinking of her, who she was, the person who she was to you, you felt. You're lucky to have a parent like your mama. You loved her. She was your friend's bunch's parent. Hanging out with mama was fun. Things were good between you and her. You got along most days. The leadership you had was fine. You managed coexisting with her. There's like 3 pages. Okay. This is all mean. Semi-mean. Not mean. She was Fran's bunch's parent hanging out with Mama was fun. You and her were still the second duo, taking life on as a team. In fact, you had only gotten truer as time went by, since you got old enough to be more of a natural help to her. It was cool. Quick question, if you're going to get your own cell phone, what color would you want? A cell phone. You never had a phone in your entire existence, and your same age neighbors already did. Hugh got their phone at 11, as soon as they were in middle school. It saved Miss and Mr. Lynn a bunch of hassle from all the people who called the house on their own cell phones, only to ask about Q. Though these days, Q ignored practically every call they got, including from their parents. Sending her a text if you want a response. That was their way of life. Tarek's mom and dad brought her one when she was 13, officially a teenager. It was a sore spot in the Bowman family. Miss Bowman the elder didn't think the gadget was necessary. They're more of a distraction than anything else. She declared loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. The town was small and safe. She wondered what the younger Mr. and Miss Bowman thought could ever happen. After her husband reminded Miss Bowman that Tarek's main way of communicating with her parents was over the telephone lines, the fighting stopped. Thank you, Mama, I love you. Thanks, that's gonna help. Alright, I can try using one. I didn't really want one, but okay, he mumbled. Are you serious? Like, serious? Serious? It's gonna happen? I thought I had to wait until I was 30. You rolled your eyes. You screeched with joy. You pumped your fist in the air. Cell phone, cell phone. You rushed over and launched onto Mama's arm gratefully. Thank you. You sat heavily. Maybe now you wouldn't be a laughingstock because you didn't have one. You rolled your eyes. Amazing. It only took a million years. Give Mama a thumbs up. You shrugged. Maybe you'd use it. You pressed your lips. You hadn't wanted one. Thanks, that's gonna help. I appreciate it if you would bring one around with you. I like to have a way of reaching you. I've been saving up. Phones get pricier every 6 months, and then there's the monthly fees, and so on. Mama didn't spend on the so on. Suddenly pushing her hand in front of her, her daughter knew the value of $1 already. Never had the chance not to. But you're in high school now. You should have a phone. High high school, that was the second family's milestone for gifting their youth with a phone. Each household on the street had a different answer for the same thing. Of course, I'm taking you to the store with me. I'm not going to choose it for you. I'll have to sneak out of work a bit early for this. We'll need to go to the next town over to get the best selection. I want to get this done before tomorrow. Wait, how early is this? How early is early? I'm seeing Q and Tamrick today. I can't wait for some other time either. Tamrick had been on pins and needles waiting to talk to her parents before the start of the school year. She wouldn't so much as look at the phone until you were there. Q hadn't left their house for days. You had to go over there and make sure they weren't dead. Don't worry, this doesn't mean you gotta flake out and see your friends. I know you want to see them. I'll swing around to pick you up late afternoon, early evening, thereabout. You'll have time for it all. Alright. Getting a phone didn't excite you, but if it wasn't going to get in the way, you aren't going to complain. Thank you, dear. Mumbles thanks came with a laugh. You should not be having that much fun. Take care. You too. Have a good day at work. You leave Mama off with a wide arc of your arm. Jesus Christ, there's so many. Hold on a moment. Interesting ditto. I thought. Yow. Throwing a yellow. Yeah. She threw on a yellow curtain, the most vibrant piece of clothing in her entire wardrobe, and went out the front door. Could have hanging around much longer yourself with a whirlwind of motion, you shoved supplies into your bag. You know what you had to do next? You had a schedule. Key and Tarek weren't going to casually be in the same place at the same time you wished, but no. For years you learned how to balance seeing both of your friends. Tarek wasn't going to call her parents until later, so you were going to Q's house first. Tarek was hoping to call her parents any minute, so you were going to her house first. Soon your pack morphed into a balloon of compressed knowledge, a year's worth of reading and pens, and things forced into a single spot. The zipper string to keep it all in. You knocked on the top. It felt like a solid mouse against your knuckle. Well, you'd have to worry about how you'd carry it later. You left it there and left the house. It was cold. Obviously, it was cold. That didn't stop you. You were focused on your mission, pressing ahead step by step. You cut across the lawn, went through the gate, and stood inside the cul-de-sac. From there you headed left. The gray porch of the Bumans was stop number 1. You reached the front of their house and rang the bell. The answer came immediately. Coming, I'm coming. Hold your horses. A series of alarms followed the shout. You wrapped your arms around yourself, waiting. The door swung in words. Waves of perfume and a long, worn-out breath escaped through the opening. The trip down the main hall got longer every year, so the woman in front of you would swear. That was your grandma right there. You didn't mind her much. It's hard to know what to expect, Miss Bowman, but she could be really nice and super unpleasant. Miss Bowman was such a cool old lady. She was always so funny. Jeremy called her something. She wasn't too bad to deal with. Miss Bowman was awful. You had to get away from there ASAP. That was your grandma right there, and she was still granny to you. Not too old to call her Miss Bowman granny like you did as a kid. But she wasn't granny to you anymore. You had your own word for that. Nana. Granny might have been the default for her, but it turned out that wasn't the only okay answer. Nana was flattered when you offered another term. She dressed as glamorously as ever with a poofy blouse and statement that belt buckle. That golden double loop acted as her anchor. She always needed something to keep her grounded. Besides, Nana could never be told to get dolled up. It didn't matter that her knees didn't work the way they used to, and the last hits of blonde had faded from her hair. She's also had chopped the ends off several months ago. Split ends had gotten out of control. Though her hair had been so long, removing inches still left plenty. Pure white strands framed her muted red eyes. Nana leaned her cheek onto the doorframe. She shared a smile for a hello. I didn't know you and Trevor had plans, but that's good. Perfect timing. I have told Opal repeatedly how lucky she is to have a kind-hearted child. I say the same about Tamrick. Laura knows there are some true rebel rustlers out there that she slapped herself, shook her head. The ribbony bit on her shirt flapped like a flag of surrender. That doesn't matter. You're not here for me to talk your ear off. You're here for your friend. Tamrick's in the backyard of all things. I suggest you go right around the house. You'll get to her. Great plan. If you cut through the house, you might reach the other side with one less ear. Have a good day, Angel. Nana shut the door behind her. You turned the other way and hopped off the porch. Women backyard? Huh? You saw it all the time out windows and from your own yard. But it's been ages since you stepped a foot in there. You didn't because Tamrick didn't. How awkward would it be if you went into her backyard by yourself? Gemma had gone over every inch of that patch over 100 times. There's no magic left to find. She outgrew her childhood playground like a growing tree in a too small pot. You turned between their mailbox and the bushes guarding your house. Mama kept those shrooms. They weren't as wild as when you moved in. That didn't mean they were small. You weren't a kid anymore. Leaves tickled your chin as you passed by. Branches brushed your chest. Your house was psyching you for the day. You got through the gap and rounded the corner. A narrow path opened onto the edge of the far-reaching forest. The line between the woods and the backyard was clear. Mr. and Mrs. Bowman made sure the land they were paying for stayed in tip-top form. It didn't matter that the people living there only enjoyed its beauty maybe a couple times a month. What if the guests saw their grass with a less than flawless form? That concern for others didn't mean they were going to replace perfectly good patio furniture. It had been 4 years and they still had the same table and chairs. And you bet money those were already old when you first saw them. There's something new there, though. A bag sat nicely on the table top. Derek's childhood Mr. Beck had joined the museum's collection of antiques that were to be seen, not touched, before it fell apart completely. The new pretty pack could hold just as much as the original. It was also mostly brown again. The strap, top flap, and bottom support were all there. All were, but the center was pastel pink. Miss Bowman got it for her lovely young granddaughter, and she had assured everyone that Miss Bowman helped. You shifted your focus over to that lovely lady. Derek sat motionless on the tire swing her grandparents had made for her. She had her arms wrapped around the rope, tied in a bow. The tips of her pink boots dragged against the ground. That was where she was staring to, at the dirt. Heavy bangs covered a third of her face. James' hair had gone so long, she pretty much always kept those coppery gold threads contained in a braid. She hadn't bothered to put on a coat. A purple knit sweater over some kind of lacy trim shirt was enough. She had leggings for pants. They looked great. That was Tamara Bowman, though you also knew her by name. That was Tamara Bowman for you. Very few people got to do that. The nickname was Tammy, Tama, T. You called her, type in your own nickname, Tam. Seemed like this was the glasses day. Wide frames rested on her nose. When Tamara had to get braces, she insisted on having contacts too. She could not live with both of those at the same time. But Tamara didn't like wearing contacts either. Contacts were only worth the annoyance if she was going somewhere with lots of people. He walked over to the rock pathway. She heard you coming. Tamara glanced up. Tamara's tense features couldn't stop a smile from spreading over her cheeks. Beanie! Sam, hey, hi, I missed you so much. Miss me, my angel princess. He gave a huge wave. You winked she'd so been missing you. Felt complete, you missed her. You shot finger guns. You heard clench, she was your angel princess. Sam, you grin. You smiled. Sam. She lurched forward with a burst of motion reaching out towards you. Thought she dangled on swing with that energy. You went over before she could fall further away from where she'd begun. You grabbed her hand, you said, at the side of the swing, try not to get hit. You walked forward and backwards in the time the swing arched. 3 steps one way or the other. It was kind of like a dance. Tamara kept on rocking. She looked brighter each time the tire lifted her your way. She left when it pulled away and you chased her. You made it. Her braid floated in the breeze. Yeah, I gotta be here for you. Are you ready to talk to your parents? She nodded, her jaw set firmly. I'm gonna call my mom. I'll do it fast. Mr. and Mrs. Bowman, the younger, you'd meet them. They'd wanted to see Tarek's friend the first time they visited. Maybe they visited since then. You'd see them again. You're always with Tarek. You hadn't really bumped into them since. You avoided them since. You're always with Tamara. Quick grip. Tamara gripped the rope hard. Narrow eyebrows shoved her eyes nearly closed. Tamara plucked her naturally bushy brows. We have enough to worry about already. High school's starting tomorrow. Who knows what Mom might try to bring up if I had the call by myself. Her words came out frazzled and emphasized in a bunch of different places. Then she sighed. Tamara peeled one of her tiny fists and adjusted the crook of her arm to make sure she didn't fall right out of the tire. Thanks for letting me drag you into this. Tamara sighed again. Her head drifted lower and lower until her chin rested against the rubber. Despite the unsteadiness of her position, she was now secure. You beamed with as much encouragement as possible. She could do this. It made her grin, a real grin, with her lips parted and everything. Oh. Since Tamara had those braces put on, she almost let her smiled with her teeth. You know how self-conscious she was about them, but that rule went away when it was safely just the two of you. But Beanie, she rolled her face over, squishing a cheek into the grooves of the tire. Never was being spotted. My phone's in the bag over there. Leggings don't have pockets. She kicked a leg towards the table 10 feet away from her. Something weakly twirled around her. Derek attempted to keep eye contact with you during the spin. Could you get it for me so I don't have to climb out of this thing, please? Well, sure. Fine. I do too much for you. No. Is it really okay for me to look inside? Get yourself, girl. Yeah, I don't mind. Ooh, you let me stay inside your bag? Always wondered about its mysteries. Mm, fine, fine. I do too much for you. Thank you. Holy crap. My lip hurts. Harry started saying pretty while you fetched her Nita tool. Nita's throne was a green drawing room chair. The guitar string was Tamarik's. He did flop of her bag. Inside was a smug, free smartphone. The screen winked at you with a glint of light. It was ready to be collected. You grabbed it in the seconds you needed it to lift the phone and close the bag. You took stock of Tamarik's stuff. Lip gloss, hairbands, her wallet tucked into the side pocket, a white box, probably a first aid kit. There's an open bag, something from the corner store, tucked into the corner. It could have been chips or cookies. You can make out the logo. It was just like when you were kids. Besides the wallet, Tamarik never had any money growing up. Hey, come on. Come in. Slipped away from the table and passed Tamarik her phone. Thank you. Tamarik scrolled across the screen and then she typed. She put her phone to her ear and waited. It rang repeatedly. Miss Bowman, not Nana, did answer. Yes, she had anyway. Tamarik's face was suddenly covered by a stiff mask of the real thing. If that wasn't enough of a clue, she started talking. Hey, Mom, thanks for doing this. Beanie's here too. We've been hanging out. Tamarik stuck the phone in your face. Any closer and your nose would have ended the call for her. Hello. See? Miss Bowman couldn't say anything. She heard it. Mom says hello to you too. And so your role in this ended. You done what you could. The rest was on Tamarik. She bobbed her head while you listened to Alyssa General Pleasant replies, Yep, that's right. Don't worry. She couldn't say for the New Year check-in. Big day class hadn't happened yet tomorrow. It'll be a perfect afternoon, or she could get trapped in a bush and miss the entire thing. From the side of the conversation you got to hear, her mom never strayed from the safe subject of school, which meant there's even less to discuss. The closer Tamarik got to getting into wrapping this up, the higher her pitch got. I love you. Tell Dad I love him too. Bye. She tapped the red button on the screen with a thumb. Then she collapsed all over the tire. It was like that one painting with melted clocks that teacher Anita was like to show. Tamarik's limbs were practically dripping off her. Seeing her that way was wrong. She looked so out of place. You couldn't help but pause there and acknowledge how wonderful it was that Tamarik was still here. Living with her Omi and Opa was meant to be temporary, and it had already been nearly half a decade. Parents kept in touch and they visited, sometimes more, sometimes less. That consistency meant that there was never a case of normalcy around them, no matter how many months went by. Since things were common enough that she thought Tamarik was going to be in Golden Grove forever, parents would become so re-involved, it was as if they'd be packing her bags any day. It lived with a thorn stuck in her chest, one that dug in deeper with each passing season no matter what, and ever so often got jabbed by the unexpected. Maybe that had something to do with why Tamarik came across like an outsider. People were holding their breath around her, bracing for when it wouldn't be a false alarm, for when she'd be gone. And you knew for sure that Tamarik struggled with seeing her own presence in that light. She told you about it. How much longer would Tamarik be living right next door? Slowly, Tamarik detangled herself from the entire swing, one leg coming after the other, not letting go of the rope too soon. Nobody wanted her to get hurt right now. The swing did as it was meant to do, swing, but Tamarik got onto her feet. First thing she did with her freedom was turn her phone to the bag. She stood there with her back to you, staring at herself for any sign of movements. Her parents would never call back. They wouldn't. They wouldn't text so soon after that chat either, but what if they did? But they didn't. Oh, she looks like she's gonna cry. At least the few inches that weren't covered by her hair or shoulder weren't completely impossible to make out from your point of view. She smiled. That was enough. We did it. You have a nice work, Tam. Just say anything about you leaving? You're not going to move away, right? We dodged a bullet, huh? Finally. Great. There's better stuff to do. I was so nervous. Your parents scare me, you said with a laugh. Your parents scare me, you said with a straight face. Nice if your parents moved here. How come your mom and dad don't just come to Golden Grove? Nice work, Tab. You too. Mr. Boone and the parents. You guess you could separate the Mr. Beeman you knew from the ones you barely seen by calling them Doctor 1 and Doctor 2. Jamek's mom and dad were both PhD holders and researchers. They mentioned they were in the process of getting that when you met. At this point, they got their degrees. You could have gained know them better. You wanted to like them, though. They didn't give you a lot to work with. They honestly seemed cool. Those two should come to town more often. You'd like them. Tamrick probably would too. Those two should come to town more often. You wouldn't like it, but you'd all manage it for Tamrick. You actually hated them. That was a power couple. You thought they were pretty aspirational for the pretty intelligent anyway. But they'd like it if you did that. So you wouldn't. They sucked. You never form an opinion on them. You hardly knew them. Your feelings were mixed. If you knew them better, would you like them more or even less? You wouldn't like them, though they didn't give you a lot to work with. Tucked at the end of her shirt. You've been quiet for a while. Oh. She made a beeline for the swing, turned directly behind it, and held on with both hands. She pushed it towards you. It was the second time she'd done that. Here, you can have a turn. It doesn't have to be just me who uses it. Wheel the tire like it was the steering wheel for life, and like it somehow control your future too. I could push you, or she leered at you from over the tire. I could spin you. Spinning a tire wheel, what a wild child. Yeah, spin me. Yeah, okay. She kept her hold strong. I've got it. Get in. Climbed on top of your legs, dangling over you. Climbed on top of your legs, crossing around the rope. Sat in the center of the tire. Stuck your head through the tire and landed. You sat in the center of the tire. Grabbed Tamrick's place on the throne, and it was a great fit. That was kind of amusing. It was made for a child. The only reason your feet didn't hit the ground was because you were short. Tamrick twisted the tire sideways, little by little. Pull your legs in. Got it. Then she snapped the swing. She did a 360. She hit the tire again and again and again. Tamrick kept catching the edge of the tire, propelling you into a propeller motion. Your world was a blur. Your cheeks pulled away from the rest of your face. A buzz went through your body each time her palm made contact with the rubber. The energy you and her were generating could power the whole neighborhood. Master, slip my shoe, you pointed your shoe at her. Ooh, stop, I'm getting dizzy. Woo, I'm getting dizzy. It was so stupid, you said, grinning. Hi, Tam, bye, Tam, hi, Tam, bye, Tam. You laughed and laughed. You held on for dear life. Closed your eyes. You smacked a hand over your mouth. You're going to be sick. You laughed and laughed. She did too. For a moment, all your cares were shaken out of your ears. The breeze filled your ears until a hollow thump did. The swing stopped dead. Ooh. Tamrick hooked her arm through the center. Yelled tight to the swing. Tamrick took the hit, but you're the one who got jolted. She didn't budge. Sorry. Finally, your sight line brought your attention to the house. Back door had opened. Standing in the door, framed by it like a life-size vintage photo, was Mr. Booman. Hello. He gave a tip of the hat to you. The exact same that he had 4 years ago. His jacket hadn't been replaced either. The vest and pants that he wore came from the thrift store. Even that part of the outfit wasn't newly made. Mr. Bowman's fan picked it out for him. Blue to make his eyes pop. Older people love their old things. That would never truer than with Tamrick's grandfather. It's a cheap constant, a boulder that withstood the erosion of time. So it couldn't get any wider. His wrinkles couldn't get deeper, right? You'd already researched elderliness when you met. He'd already reached it. When you saw him in front of you was his final form. Finn wouldn't have changed a single thing for the rest of his life if he hadn't had a wife and granddaughter who made him do it sometimes in little ways. He adored him for that. Mr. Broodman was the best. He made it easy to ignore him at least, so he didn't know enough to decide if you liked him or not. He was awesome. He hoped you were that cool when you're elderly. His old man attitude made you laugh. Made you uncomfortable. Had Tamrick live in the same house as him. He was harmless. He never bothered you. You can understand how distant he was. It was like nothing mattered. And he was your grandparent too. You started calling him by your own special nickname. It was nice having Mr. Booman in life. Gramps climbed down the miniature set of stairs into the backyard, bracing one knee with his hand, taking the steps half at a time. He put both feet on the same level before going down to the next. Gramps was solidly built. That made the risk fastens more troublesome. If he fell, he'd fall hard. How did the call go? James Grace met yours. Call. That wasn't much of a call, and that had been her goal. A few minutes of small talk with a friend on standby to make certain, and everyone past that. James summed up nicely with a shot. Good. And this was a good time to go. Q needed you too. You spoke in a hush. Tamrick, I gotta leave now. Bye. Huh? You jerked your chin towards the way out. You're leaving? Okay. So you wiggled out the swing. It was fun while it lasted. Bye. Tamrick waved you off. Gramps simply watched you walk away. Good day. The backside of the neighborhood was behind you. You marched right through the center of the road, passing your house and reaching the other side. For the second time, you came to stand in front of the neighbor's door. You rang the doorbell. Nothing happened first. There was a reaction gun from this woman, but the chance for a prompt, adult-like response passed by too. You left waiting longer than somebody normally had to stand at a doorstep. You had no idea what to expect. This could take another few seconds or a few minutes. Your gaze wandered. It landed on the row of shadows stretched across the ground. It came from the railing, but were exactly like the bars of a jail cell. Come on, someone had to answer, right? You had to get in there, you had to see Q. Then, the door moved. You immediately straightened your back. The other side was Mr. Lin. He hadn't left for the day. You were guessing he had some real estating he had to do this afternoon. He did have a coat on. He looked kind of like a biker jacket, and he was kind of a biker. But just not a motorcycle. Mr. Lin kept it only half zipped to show his professional button-down shirt and tie combo underneath. That was definitely the man to talk to about buying something that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just look at how his glasses match his eyes, and the way he put his hands confidently on his hips. Mr. Lin was great. You thought he was so goofy, but that was fun. Made you nervous. Mr. Lin acted with so much certainty that I left none for you. You'd really gotten to like him lately. It surprised you. You couldn't believe you hadn't liked him instantly. Mr. Lin was the best of the adult. Mr. Lin was great. He opened his lips to show the grin behind him. Hey, Beanie, thanks for taking the time to come over. Now, you're a visitor, your charming Q, wouldn't mind. Chuckled quietly, though a cloud of concern put an end to the sunny mood he'd started with. The Lin parents had been totally shut up by their teen. They had to rely on the neighborhood completely. Neighborhood kid. You were their only lifeline left. Nine Ren was a for sure thing these days. But you don't want to see Q, whether they ask for that or not. Come in, please. Do let me hold you up. Thank you. Mr. Linton moved to the side. He passed through the door. Your host called after, but you got ahead of him after a few steps. Just head up to the room. You know where it is. I'll be here. You didn't stop walking. You didn't want to stay there. It was hard to explain the way a space could stay so much the same and still be so different. I love this. The living room didn't decide to get spotlessly tidy yesterday because it knew there'd be a guest. It was always like that. The house didn't feel nice or neat anymore. Somehow it seemed sharp, stiff, uninviting. Every single time your feet touched the floor, you braced yourself for the crack of eggshell. At the top of the stairs, you got a different kind of jolt. You weren't alone there. Miss Lin, she stood in front of Q's room, facing directly towards you. It's good to see you. She had a simple dress, brown from top to bottom. Her slippers were white. You didn't have to check out a window to see autumn here. Miss Lin displayed the season in action. Her dark blue hair was pulled back into a bun. That took you more color away from her. Though the hairstyle did make her earrings stand out, gold leaves with purple stones. She worn those for years. Focusing on her that closely, you noticed her mouth pulled into a faint smile. I've been knocking. Miss Lin twisted around and touched the door again. She stared at the wall between her and her child. That must have been exactly how she was before she heard someone coming. Q hasn't answered, but they would if they knew you were here. Speaking of the plank of wood, she stopped talking to you. Q, your friend is here. She'll be coming in. You leaned in, ears perked. It was dead silent. Still, Miss Lin backed away. That was the most the mom could do. She kept a smile for you. You say as long as you like. She then vanished down the way you came. Miss Lin relaxed you. You never had to worry about what would happen. Miss Lin could be so silly. That was great. Always rubbed you the wrong way. You got awkward around her. You never knew what to do. Miss Lin seemed kind of cold, but you began warming up to her. Relaxed. You took Miss Lin's place in front of the door, the unmoving door. There was not a single sound coming through. You twisted your fingers together. You'd done this before. You could visit Q's room, and Miss Lin said you were going to do it. So, first you knocked yourself. You didn't think they'd answer. You just wanted to be polite. Q, I'm actually here. I'd like to come in. Twisted the handle and then pushed the door open. It didn't go smoothly. The frame wasn't warped like your bedroom door. Something was blocking the other side. Okay, Q hadn't been spending their time in there cleaning. Not a surprise. It was a mess. Q's personal space was the only part of the Lin household that had permission to fall to pieces. I was supposed to say, is that a mirror? But it's not. The room was perfect for a game of I Spy. Your eyeballs were overwhelmed with the amount of stuff in the front of them. Trying to pick out any specific thing would take a complete hour. Focus. In the center of all this was Q with themselves. Right through the shallow sea of abandoned clothes and forgotten note pages. You didn't have to imagine eggshells anymore. One wrong step and you'd crunch something for real. Of course. Then inside the bed, you tilted your head straight down. Q-Lin. They looked dead. They laid on their stomach, face flat against the mattress, feet propped on the pillows. Just like their dad, Q had a jacket on. Unlike Mr. Lin, that was the sign they were going someplace. He had been outside in 100 hours or something. And you'd bet they'd had their blue plaid clothes on the entire old time. Strands of brown hair rested over their shoulder and mingled with the full trim their hood. They had a small part of it tied into a ponytail. Found a hairstyle that worked a ton and stuck with it. Between the mix of fox fur and thick mass of hair, you could pick out Q's accessory. They were wearing a pair of sharp dangled earrings and a black choker. A pair of skinny jeans stuck out from the bottom of their oversized coat. Q didn't go as far as wearing shoes in bed. They just had socks on. Seeing Q from below was something you were used to. For years, Q was the tall one in town. Now, soon to be a high schooler, they turned out to be an average-sized teen. But you were a short kid. You were still a short teenager. Q kept multiple inches over you. Some people called them Autumn. You didn't. Some people still called them Autumn, including you. Some people still called them Autumn, but you had a different name for them. Some people still called them Autumn, including you, though you had your own nickname for them too, including you. You known them as Q and Autumn since you met. A little moan escaped from between Q's lip and the mattress they were pressed up against. It went on until they didn't have any air left in their chest. That was a cry for help if you've ever heard one. Hey, I'm here. Autumn's been so long. I'm too late. Autumn's dead. So, what you doing there, Autumn? You okay? I worry about you sometimes. Hello, Autumn. I've broken into your room. It's nice to see you. Tap the mattress hello. You poked the back of their head. Seriously, were they dead? Pat the back of their head. Seriously, were they okay? You tapped your foot. Autumn was doing great, huh? You sighed sweetly. It did not matter how many more people met over the years. Q remained the prettiest. Hands down, let's just do that. They twisted their head to the side. Half of Autumn's face appeared, and half their mouth was pulled into a smirk. Didn't need to see the other side to tell that much. The sparkle in their eye made it clear. I'm glad you came over. I've been so busy getting ready for tomorrow and everything. Nellie was Q's prep going to be something helpful. My will's almost finished. They coughed. Okay, Qlin. Fluttering their eyes closed, Q kicked their legs through the air. They grinned sweet as they could. Being leaving you my notebooks and whatever pages you can find. Their feet froze mid-arc. The bed squeaked and Autumn's eyes opened again. Burn them. I promise I will. You clasped one of Q's limped hands. I promise will. Hold on. What does the rest of the will say? Can't promise that, Autumn. It's too cruel. You threw your head back in sorrow. No thanks. You do it before croaking. Oh, you know I will. I'll toast s'mores over the flames in your honor. What? No, you're not going to die from 9th grade. Autumn, it's not going to be that bad. We can deal with it. That's one of Q's limped hands. You do that for them if you had to. Oh, you know I will. I'll toast s'mores over the flames in your honor. I'm continuing to lay there, making a real show of being on their deathbed. They spoke to you gently, as if this might be their last word. Thanks. Which it wasn't, because nothing was wrong with them. To prove that, they popped one of their thumbs straight up. Don't tell my parents. You're a hero. Your friend faded right in front of you. It wasn't an act anymore. Autumn pressed her face into the blanket again. High school's a death sentence. The teacher should film me now and save everyone the trouble. Is that why you aren't coming out of your room? If I never go anywhere, ever, then my parents keep you surprised when I don't go out to school tomorrow either. Figured I should help them get used to it before the big day. And maybe if I do it long enough, people will forget I'm here. I'm not gonna forget you. School'll be hard, but it's better than you think. That plan sucks. You're gonna have to come out sometime. You can't live like this. So you want to do homeschooling instead. You have to go. Can I hide here too? Good luck. You're not the only one who doesn't like going to school. Brushed the hair away from their face. He gave them a pat on the back. It was rough. He looked down at them, blank face. That plan sucked. Brushed your hair. Q's face snapped to the side. You pulled your fingers back, surprised. It's okay. Oh. Carefully finished what you started, reaching out to Autumn, moving their bangs away from their eyes. They kept those eyes on you the whole time. You're not stand there, sit down. He kept standing at you, sat on the edge of the bed. And it was the very edge. The mattress sank down with your weight, pressed into only a few inches of space. He took up all the real estate, just like their dad did. Autumn kept staring at you from below. It made you feel pinned down. How is that physically possible? Then they shrugged, using a single shoulder. That was enough. No way would Mom and Dad let me skip school to stay in my room. Even I'm not that stupid for real. You're not stupid at all. You're not to pretend. Listen, my real plan is I'm gonna move into my other room tomorrow. Live there instead. Pretty clever, huh? They're so worried about me being in here that when I do leave the house, they'll be just glad about it. They'll never see phase 2 coming. Q pressed their hands into the blanket and lifted themselves with the effort of having done 1,000 push-ups. He bobbed high and low on the bed while Q got comfortable in a different way. Sat cross-legged. Faces were a lot closer, but they weren't looking at you. Autumn stared through the window, the one overlooking the backyard in the distance. Chalk Fortress stayed among the trees. Could that protect them? I don't want to see anyone out there. I don't want to be anyone. I don't feel like I am anyone. They had their hands between their knotted legs. Autumn's head and back bowed forward. They were under a weight no one could see. But that didn't mean it was fake. Expectations were very real. What about you? Do you get it? Have you figured this out? Q struggled. Struggle resonate powerfully in you. But you done what they were doing years ago, before you even came to this place. The people here had never known you as anything different. Hmm. Yeah, but I don't know how. Sometimes I don't know if I do have it figured out. I'm sorry. No, I don't have everything figured out. Life's confusing. Yeah, I'm a genius. Hold on, I need to turn. I'm not sure what I can tell you, but I wish I could help. Yeah, I have. You only shake your head. Yeah, no words for that. Mm, I'm not sure what I could tell you, but I wish I could help. This isn't your fault, Beanie. They reached over, tapped your shoulder. At least we can lean on each other, right? Except for tomorrow, because I'm not going to school. You both laughed. He kept looking. They kept looking at you. His eyes didn't find how dead inside they were anymore. Suddenly they were alive. Okay, Q was up to something. Hey, I gotta give you something. Q unwrapped their arms and then untwisted their legs. They hopped off the bed, wandering towards their desk. Better not be your will. It's not. They grabbed their most recent notebook. Autumn had gone through a lot in the time you've known them. No matter how much Q loved one, it never survived more than half a year. But the notebook was a signature part of who they were. Keepers of Q, important reminders. In the notebooks, they relied on changed size and style over the years as Q themselves did. This one wasn't falling apart at the seams yet. It was packed with tabs and bookmarks and other paper-sized things Q wanted to keep track of. This notebook was too big to fit in any pocket, so they kept it in their room or tossed it into their school bag before going out. If it didn't end up in the bag, oh well. Q flipped to a random page and started scribbling away with the pencil they'd also scrounged up from the desk. Completely hunched over the work they wrote at super speed, Q leaned in, hoping to get a peek, but that fluffy hood kept getting in the way. Then Q stopped. They tucked the pencil behind one ear. The entire sentence ended with a cringy loud tear. Autumn held a piece of paper high, spun around, presented to you directly. Their page was bone white, divided by blue lines painted across it. The words it had to say were, Happy 4-year moving anniversary from Q-Lin, actually. The message was surrounded by Q's signature stars with no lines in the middle. Plus, they dotted a few eyes with hearts. That was new. Thanks, Q. I thank you. This must have taken you hours. You were so uncool, you grinned wide. The anniversary smile. Don't remind me it's been that long. He accepted the gift. His arms flopped to their side. They walked around the room aimlessly. Kept their legs out with each step, barely bending their knees. Can't figure you like it. You're welcome. They brushed the hair around their ear, cocking their head, doing all that knocked the pencil out. They clattered to the ground. Q pretended that didn't happen. They kept smirking. Rest in peace, pencil. You will be missed. Shit. After the note shifted, the paper was slightly pressed. If you weren't careful, you'd get a cut. Fold it in half once and then twice. It became neat and compressed square that fit in your pocket. Put it away. You stay there. You can hang out with Autumn until Mama was back. You had 3 feet to face plant on their bed, an incredible use of their belly skill. The impact lifted you into the air like it was the natural next move in the dance. Ah. Sat down again, right next to Q. Clearly, they weren't going anywhere. Why not get comfortable? Maybe we were quiet. My parents will get you in here too. We could both live in my room for the rest of our lives. Pretty sure my mama is gonna notice. Dang. At least for a couple hours, you were shut away from everything. Larger building than this didn't exist. No neighborhood was out there. Tomorrow wasn't real either. You and Q talked, and sometimes about sucky stuff, sometimes about things that were actually cool. But eventually, the light around you changed. Autumn's room became tinted in orange. The sun was starting to set. Mama had said she'd be there in the evening, earlier than she would normally got back from work. He had to go out into the big wide world again. The autumn lounged at the door behind you. Mr. and Miss Lynn were in the living room, waiting. When you hit the stair landing, they looked at you. Neither of them asked how it went, but you could see the appreciation in their faces. You had magically solved all the Q problems, even though they sometimes still called you a sorcerer. All you could do was help them forget about it for a while. Q's parents hadn't managed to get near them for a single minute. You'd been there for their child today. That was enough. They didn't keep you any longer. You returned to the cul-de-sac. And that is it. So the next update is sometime in November. So we'll be playing it then. On that note, I'm gonna end stream here.